Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to talk today about systems of equations. This is where we have two equations with two unknowns. You guys are champs at solving when you have just one unknown, right? One variable, you solve for it, you're doing fantastic. This time you have two, and if you have two variables in an equation, you can't solve for it unless you have two equations. If you have three unknown variables, then you would have to have three equations. That's the only way you can solve for those. So today I'm going to talk to you about solving these guys with substitution. Substitution. So they're called systems of equations. We're going to solve by substitution. At a later date, I will introduce you to elimination as well. So with substitution, I want you to think S for substitution. You want to write them side by side. I know this is going to annoy you because you're going to think, oh, why do I have to write this again? But it's really important that you stay nice and organized for these. So the way that this works is x minus 2y equals -1. And 2x minus 3y equals 4. The only way we can do substitution is if we have one variable all by itself. Looking at this 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 4 variables here. The only one I see that's all by itself is right here. I just need to do a little bit of tweaking in order to get it completely by itself. I'm going to go ahead and move that chunk with the 2y over to the other side because that will get it all by itself. So now what I have is, and so what I was saying by the x was all by itself, I meant that it didn't have a coefficient or a number in front of it. So that was why I chose this one in particular. I could do these other ones where I divide, but then you end up with fractions and blah, who wants that? So I have x equals, this cancels out, and then I have 2y minus 1. You can put those in any order. You could do -1 plus 2y, that would have been fine too. Okay, so x equals all this garbage here. Right, and put little parentheses around my garbage there. We're going to take that and we're going to plug it into this other one. Since we have x here, what we want to do is install all that garbage for x here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2, and then instead of x, I'm going to put my garbage can, minus 3y equals 4. Now that I have my garbage can there, I'm going to install this guy here. And it is a good idea to do it this method where you use those parentheses, because if you have a negative, you got to distribute that. So let's distribute this 2 to here. We get 4y minus 2 distributed to here would be 2 minus 3y equals 4. All right, now we have just one variable, the y's. So we got 4y and 3y. That gives me 1y. And instead of writing 1, I'm just going to write y. I'm trying to be a little bit more mature in our math here, right? Minus 2 equals 4. Let's go ahead and add 2 to both sides. So y equals 6. Yes, now that I have y, you take that information and you plug it back in over here. We've got x equals 2 times 6 minus 1, which would give me 12 minus 1, which means x equals 11. So my answer, you always write your answer as a coordinate pair. So you're going to write it as with your x first, 11, and your y next, 6. This is your answer, okay? So let's try another one of these. We're solving by substitution, so we want it to be side by side. Okay, so in this case, the only variable I can see all by itself is this guy right here. But you notice it's a negative. I don't want that, so I'm going to multiply or divide everything by -1. Straight off the bat, I'm just going to do that because it's annoying me. That gives me -2x plus y equals -10. Notice that by dividing by -1, you end up just changing all the signs. Do you see I went from positive, negative, positive to negative, positive, negative? That's all you got to do. You don't have to show me this step if you just change all the signs. Just make sure to do all your chunks. All right, so now I'm going to add 2x to both sides because I'm minusing it here. And I'm trying to get that y all by itself, right? So if I do that, this cancels out. I end up with y equals 2x minus 10. You could do -10 plus 2x if you wanted to. I just like to put it in slope-intercept form whenever. It's not even relevant. Slope-intercept form isn't, but for right now. But it's habits die hard. All right, so y equals all that garbage. Come back up here, find your y. We're going to install that garbage can. 4x minus 3 garbage can equals 16. Now we're going to fill our garbage can with 2x minus 10. Now we have just x's. So 4x minus 6x plus 30 equals 16. 4x minus that is going to give me -2x plus 30 equals 16. Minus 30 minus 30. -2x equals -14. Divide both sides by 2, -2. And you end up with x equals 7. Now that I have x, I can come right back over here and plug that in. So y equals 2 times 7 minus 10. So it's 14 minus 10, which means y equals 4. My answer here then is 7 comma 4 as a ordered pair. All right. All right, one more example here. So we're doing substitution side by side, so let's go ahead and do that. Over here we've got 2x plus y equals 25. All right, of all these variables, I've got a couple options here. I could divide everything by 2 here, and that would get this variable by itself, but this variable is already all by itself, so we're gonna get that. So I'm gonna do minus 2x, and so to get it completely by itself, I get y equals negative 2x plus 25. I minused 2x from both sides because I wanted to move that whole chunk over. All right, so y equals all that garbage there. So we come back over here, we find our y, and we're gonna substitute in our garbage can here. Okay, so now we take our garbage can, we fill it, so it's negative 2x plus 25. Sometimes I don't leave my garbage can enough room. So 4x, and then negative 2 is positive 4x plus, oops, negative 2 times 25 is minus 50. I always forget to distribute. It's 38. So I'm going to add 50 to both sides, and at the same time, I'm going to add those 4x and 4x, and I get 8x. This cancels out, equals 88, it looks like. Divide both sides by 8, and I get x equals 11. Take that, plug it back in over here. So now I get y equals negative 2 times 11 plus 25. Negative 22 plus 25 gives me y equals 3. So my solution is 11 comma 3. All right, so here's some practice problems. Go ahead, pause the video, do those, come on back and make sure you got them right. Substitution means side by side, so we're gonna go ahead and do it like this. And you can pause those videos while I'm doing it or while I write all this down. I'm trying to write things down before I start the videos, so that way you're not watching me write the whole time. All right, guys, so in this case, we're gonna do, so for this guy right here, throw a little line there so I don't get confused. We need to find one variable that's by itself. Looks like this x is, so we're gonna get it all by itself by adding 3y to both sides. Move that 3y over. X equals 7 plus 3y. So x equals all that garbage there. We're gonna go ahead and come back over here. We're gonna install our garbage can. And see, I knew that was gonna happen. I'm gonna run out of space here. All right, so we've got 2, and instead of x, I'm gonna put my garbage can, minus 3y equals 4. Now I'm gonna install my, throw all my garbage in here, right? So I end up with 14 plus 6y minus 3y equals 4. Minus 14 from both sides. At the same time that I'm doing that, I can do 6y minus 3y, which gives me 3y equals negative 10. Let me make sure I got that right. It could be that I also just didn't write the problem down right. Stand by, my friends. Okay, so 2x oh, this was a negative 7 here. Negative 7. Negative 7. I'm so sorry, you guys. That was a negative 7 here, which meant I had to change it here and here. All right, so that means when I go up here and install that, so I only have to erase this last bit here. Because all that means is that this is a negative 7 here, which makes this a negative 14. So I'm going to add 14 to both sides. So plus 14. This makes more sense now. Helps if you write half the battle is writing the problem down right. So now I have 6y minus 3y, which gives me 3y equals 18. Divide both sides by 3. I get y equals 6. And if that, what I was seeing happening is I did 4 minus 14, and I was getting negative 10, and 3 doesn't go into 10. Typically, at this point in the game, you're not going to get fractions as an answer. So if that happens, you may have done something wrong. Algebra 2, all bets are off. You're going to get fractions as answers because we're evil math teachers, and that's what we like to do. Once you've found your y, though, don't forget, I'm all ADDing out, and you got to install it back over here and find your x. X equals negative 7 plus 3 times 6. 6, which gives me x equals -7 plus 18, which gives me x equals 11. So my answer is 11. My coordinate pair is 11, 6. That is my answer. If you got something different, let me know. Let's see what we got here for our next one. Looks like I can get, there's this y by itself, but it's a negative. I don't want to deal with that. Here's that y can be by itself. So let's minus 2x, I end up with y equals -2x plus 25. Y equals all that garbage. So we're gonna come over here. I'm gonna move this down here so I have some more room. 4x minus all this garbage here. Notice I'm still using my parentheses because now I have to distribute my negative sign. Do you see how there's a negative here? You gotta distribute that, otherwise you end up with the wrong answer. 4x plus 2x minus 25 equals 41. We're gonna add 25 to both sides. And at the same time that we do that, we get 4, 5, 6x. This cancels out, equals 5, 6, 66. Divide both sides by 6. X equals 11, but we are not done. We got to go plug it in up here. I was looking and I'm like, oh, I didn't leave myself enough room. Y equals -2 times 11 plus 25. That's -22 plus 25. You can kind of see my work there. Y equals 3. So our answers are, or our answer is 11, 3. It's an ordered pair, so put your parentheses there. All right, guys, if you have any questions at all, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in class. Thanks.